arcade.
Let's talk about this fantastic blend of arcade machine and pinball machine, Baby Pac-Man.
Yes,
Heck
aka probably the most difficult version of Pac-Man I've ever played.
Yeah, because it's not only do you have to play Pac-Man, you gotta play some pinball as well.
It's not just that, the actual Pac-Man part itself is extremely tough.
Yeah, because they're trying to steal your money, son.
I guess so, but there's a strategy to it, and if you figure out how to play it correctly, it's a lot more playable than it is otherwise. And I actually started getting okay at it.
I played this thing too, actually.
Yes, you did.
Because it was just that interesting to me, at least. Because it's more along the lines of an arcade machine and not necessarily a pinball machine. Because the arcade thing, I would think, you get a lot more. It's more of an emphasis on the arcade part of it than the than the pinball side of it.
Yeah,
but
I'd call
at
it
the same time it's like a 51-49 type of thing where you could what?
I was letting you finish.
It's like a 51%, 49% type of thing where it's more or less equal, but more of an emphasis on the arcade aspect of it rather than the pinball side of it. Because while you were playing it and I was filming you kind of rarely went to the pinball side of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're more inclined to do the arcade side of it.
It depends on how well you do on the pinball side. If you lose your ball, then you're not going to be on the pinball part for long. It's not like you can pick, but I'll get into that momentarily.
Yeah, so anyway, I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
The only thing really is it's super hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super hard. It's you go like this whole switch from arcade to pinball is just kind of startling. It's like, oh crap, I gotta do the pinball thing now. And all of a sudden, oh crap, I gotta do the arcade thing now.
Well,
it's,
you kind of know it's coming though.
Yeah, but for a slow, rapscallion man like myself, it's kind of difficult to
if you're not used to it.
Yeah, especially to anticipate it. It's kind of different.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
It's a good difference. I enjoyed it.
As did I.
With a little more practice, I probably can accomplish it. However, it's difficult on that basis alone. I don't think that the youngins that love Shroom World would necessarily enjoy this game because it would be too difficult for them.
I bet they would.
Probably would, but
Shit, when I was a youngin', I was fortunate enough that back in, probably, I'd say, let's see, 12, 13 years ago in Gainesville, we had an arcade in the shopping center where Publix is, and Old Navy. You know where I'm talking about?
let's just go with the yes.
Yeah, I have a feeling you do. It's over near the Kohl's and the Home Depot in Gainesville.
Okay.
Right. So in that complex, there was an arcade called Mystic Adventures, and they didn't have any pinball, but they did have a vintage Pac-Man cocktail table that was turned into a multicade, which I loved playing so much. On top of that, they had a Super Pac-Man, which was an original dedicated game, and I loved playing that too. I want to own that game someday. And third, they had a Baby Pac-Man. They actually had these ancient games that at the time were 25 years old, and they were putting them out on location to still earn money. which fascinates me. But I mean, that's what they did.
Fascination
Rules a nation. Now I'm getting into Daft Punk territory.
Anyway,
With television, rules a nation. Anyway,
I'll tell
So,
you
yeah.
this: the artwork and designs of it was pretty good. It's very interesting the fact that they split like the pinball and arcade kind of almost exactly. You know, it's kind of like the same length and width of the pinball playfield is the same width and whatever of the
length. Yeah,
length and whatever from the
and width.
Arcade side of it. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That was well designed. I do agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and it's a very thick cabinet. I don't think you can make a whole lot of other things out of it.
Yes, you can.
Oh, well,
I
I
was
guess-
gonna get into that if you're finished.
Well, if this is going to take place within Baby Pac-Man and not anything else, then sure.
It is completely related to this.
Okay.
So, Baby Pac-Man was made by Bally. And Bally, you know, was originally a pinball company. And their arcade division Midway, you know, they produced Pac-Man in the US. Then they illegally came up with Miss Pac-Man through the help of an outsider from another company. But that's another story for another time. And then they illegally came up with Baby Pac-Man, where they took a concept they already had and added in the pinball element that they already had, and they just kind of combined the two together.
And it was for our
Literally,
benefit.
they combined an arcade version of Pac-Man with the pinball table.
And it was for our benefit.
They did also have another game like this called Granny and the Gators, which I may have seen one time in person, but I
Granny?
don't think it worked.
Granny and the Gators.
I've seen one before somewhere. I can't remember where it was at. It was either in Chattanooga Pinball's warehouse years ago, or it was at Disney Quest. But I don't
Disney
I don't
Quest?
think it was Disney Quest. I don't know. I've seen one, maybe played it once, and
Where the end of the quest is Disney.
anyway, so it's a similar thing. I won't get into it too much, but it's the same video game pinball hybrid. It's almost the same cabinet. It may even be the same thing. But you know, the only other company that tried this was Gottlieb, and they came out with the lesser known Caveman, which
Sucks.
actually I kind of like it. It's not as good as Baby Pac-Man, not even close, but
Well, yeah, because it's Pac-Man.
you know, it's
Matt-
like
Imagine if there was one cartoon character that can sum up most, if not all, cartoons, which one would it be?
if I just think cartoon,
Yeah.
I don't know, Fred Flintstone's probably who comes to my mind first. I don't know why.
Well, all right. Well, for the other 7 billion people in the world,
It's either Pac-Man or Mario.
no, it's either Bugs Bunny or Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah, good point.
For video games, it's Pac-Man or Mario. And since Pac-Man's been around longer, it's probably going to be
By
Pac-Man.
1 year.
By 1 year, it's Pac-Man. Because actually, there's a study that showed that Pac-Man was the most celebrated and the most recognizable video game character of all time.
Yeah, I
And-
agree.
And to be honest, that might help out this game quite a bit, because Caveman, you know,
I mean,
along
it's
with
its own
everything else.
thing, but
along with everything else, you don't get the recognizability of
No, you don't.
Pac-Man.
I was talking more about the technical aspects of it.
I was technically talking about the.
Technically,
I was technically talking about the reasons that Pac-Man is more nostalgic. Therefore, it gives you more of a boost
Fair enough.
with this game as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, Caveman, unlike Baby Pac-Man, is like you said, Baby Pac-Man was like, what, 51% arcade, 49% pinball.
Pretty much, yeah. If not 50-50. But
I would say Caveman's like the opposite. It's like 51% pinball, 49% video game, where the gameplay is more pinball focused. It's got a bigger pinball play field, but it kind of almost takes a Pinball 2000 Revenge from Mars type of approach with projecting the play field with the monitor image, except here they just actually stuck a monitor back there in the play field in the back, and when it's time to play the video game portion, the playfield lights turn off and the monitor shows the game. It's like, Caveman, wake up. For some reason. And you play a decent maze game. It's almost kind of like Pac-Man, but different. It's more about whacking dinosaurs, I think, with the club or something. You'll just look it up. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, interesting.
But
now back to
yeah.
Baby Pac-Man.
So, you know, obviously it's Pac-Man. You want to clear all the dots, right? Well,
Yeah.
how about eating those ghosts? Oh, grab an Energizer if you're in the 80s. Grab a Power Pellet if you're in modern day society, because there are two terms, oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
And
What I found to be interesting in this is that there's a you can go side to side
Through
with
the
this
tunnel.
game, through the tunnels, but unlike other Pac-Man games, you can go down.
that's how you get to the
That's how you get
pinball.
to the pinball part of it.
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, holy crap,
Right.
that's ingenious. And you don't, if you go anywhere else in the tunnels except down, you're not going to get to the pinball part, which I gotta say was pretty smart on their parts.
It is. It makes the pinball part have purpose. And what
Yeah.
I was about to explain actually is more on that. So, in this game, you're not given the power pellets right off the bat. And the tunnels don't... well, no, they do slow the ghosts down. But, you know, these ghosts are fearless. They chase you down, and the red one's actually faster than you are in this game, which is interesting. That definitely makes it tough. Actually, no. The red ghost is as fast as Baby Pac-Man when he's not eating dots. When he eats the Pac dots, then the red ghost is faster because you slow down when you eat the dots.
Do you
Which makes it like impossible, and all the ghosts like to close you in ASAP.
did you ever think
No
why
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man is called Baby Pac-Man and not just Pac-Man?
No, I did think about this, and I'm
Because
in the
it's-
middle of explaining it.
Because it's slower, therefore babies are slower than their adult
They make they make it where Baby Pac-Man, you know, doesn't have all these abilities because he's a youngin', but he earns the abilities. He I guess he matures while you play the game or something, and that's why the pinball portion is there. So you go down through the downstairs tunnels, you get to the pinball part. You're hoping to God the pinball does not go in the hole. And down on the pinball playfield, you can earn the fruits, you can earn the power pellets, you can even get an extra life, I think, at some point. And you can make the tunnels speed you up and also slow the ghosts down. So, by playing pinball and getting enough things accomplished there, you're able to go back to the Pac-Man part and you can actually like finish the game and not die because you can eat the ghosts, and the ghosts give you some massive points in this game because the reward for eating them is much higher because
You're
you
a
had
baby.
to work a lot harder to get to that point, where normally it's like 200 points, 400, 600, or no, it's 400. Wait, no, 400, 600, 800, 1200. I forgot the point values. It's been a while. I used to know that by heart. I feel kind of ashamed.
791.
It's definitely not that. Point being, in this game, it's like in the 100,000s of points, which is pretty sick. So that'll jack your score up pretty high. But yeah, it's hard, but I do really like how they integrated the pinball in the video game part. They make it where the pinball part has a purpose and a reason. It's not just about, yeah, I'm playing Pac-Man, I can go over here and now I've got this bonus pinball game I get to play and get extra points. You actually go to the pinball part to gain, extra goodies, which is what makes that game amazing. Which is why I want to own it one day.
Yeah, from the ton of explaining, I would assume that you would.
Yes, if I explained the game,
you explained the game really tremendously. It's probably one of your favorites of this.
Oh, you better believe it. If it's the depth of Bucky O'Hare, I don't want it. Let's just put it that way. He said Douglas. Now,
Douglas and Memphis Bus Driver.
Ah, yes. So, my only complaint with Baby Pac-Man is that I've heard and read and seen videos that this game can be kind of unreliable.
Oh, gee, I wonder why.
Well, yeah, I know, but part of it's because it's funny. The way they did it is that it runs off of, like, the computerized aspect of it runs off of Valley pinball hardware. But then they made this custom board that integrates the video part. But all, like, the game in its essence is controlled by just about I think it's a very slightly modified version of a standard Valley pinball circuit board from that era. Like, I could put some of the boards from the Flash Gordon I used to own in this, and it'd probably work, which is really interesting.
Huh.
But only other thing is the artwork to me is, I don't know, I don't like the side art. I wish it was a little bit more badass looking for some reason, but or maybe if it wasn't Baby Pac-Man, that makes you think it's a kid's, like a game for young kids, for babies, but
This is a kid's game.
Oh my gosh, no!
But, like, if it was, like, I don't know, like, Ultra Pac-Man or something, or they called it something awesome, like Ultra Pac-Man, or
Slow Pac-Man.
there's already a Pac-Man Plus, which is not that much different from Pac-Man. But, or maybe Pac-Man 2. But yeah, other than that, Baby Pac-Man, a timeless classic. Hey,
I would
let me have it for Christmas, please.
The only
Dear
complaint.
Santa, when you're not riding in the taxi.
The only thing I would have a complaint about is I don't think this game is for everybody.
No, I agree.
I don't think it's for the kids from Shroom World or whatever. However, it is a fun game, and it's for the 12 and up crowd. I would definitely say 12 is probably the lowest.
See,
probably
that's
go.
why I don't like it being called Baby Pac-Man, because it's
Baby
kind of misleading almost, but
This is for babies. Oh my gosh!
like, no, this is actually really badass. Even like our boy, the harvester himself,
Well,
I showed it to him, and he told me
Harvester.
voluntarily, he said that, you know, he was not expecting it to be that cool. Like, he thought it was just kind of lame looking. It was like Baby Pac. It's probably a kid's game, but then it was like really sick.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't have played it if I hadn't showed it to him.
then again, not saying this now, but at the time, 80s,
Yeah.
when Mrs. Pac-Man came out, people were
Miss
probably like,
Pac-Man.
whatever. People were probably like, ew, girl Pac-Man, gross.
Yeah, I bet the same thing might have happened, but I own one.
Yeah.
I've
It's,
actually owned 2 Miss Pac. Nope, 3.
Yeah,
If you're
it's-
counting the one in my college apartment.
It's actually a good game, as is this one.
A lot of people like it more than regular Pac-Man.
I mean, yeah, because it's more complicated, and you actually get to be more complicated and more challenging itself. So, all in all, what would you give a grade to this?
Despite its very, very few, only 2 flaws, I'm gonna have to give it an A+. This is one that I've been after for a while. I just never can find one for sale for the right price when I'm looking to add something or change it up.
Yeah,
They're kind of hard to find, but they're not extremely uncommon. But they're getting a little bit pricier than they used to be.
honestly, I'm gonna come pretty close to that. I'm gonna give it a solid A,
Good.
simply because
Excellent grade.
yeah, simply because kind of knocked it down from the artwork's not as good as you said. That I'm kind of remembering the side arts. Also, it's not for everybody, which I gotta say, if you really want a good standing arcade / pinball machine, it has to be for everybody. Therefore, you can get more profit, more availability, plus it gets into the classic status. It's not for everybody
Yeah.
because it's really complicated. However, I really did enjoy it, and that's why I'm giving it a solid A.
And before we close out on Baby Pac-Man, I just found out that there's actually a very rare prototype cabaret version of this game. Meaning, where cabaret's like the miniature, small version. You know how my Miss Pac-Man and Auburn's really tiny?
Yeah.
They had a version. Look, check this out.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of which,
Ever find one of those, please let me know. Grab it before it gets taken, because that